Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Games on Fast Forward. We were experiencing a little bit of technical difficulties, but we're fine now. Hopefully, should be. But we got BlxxdLxst running Lego Batman the video game for us, which I have titled Lego Batman 1. But yeah. Hello.
Hello everybody, welcome. So I'm going to be doing what is practically New Game Plus for this game. A thing on every level, and I'll show this very quickly before starting the run. A thing on all of these levels, you'll see this free play mode. It allows us to go in with extra characters in the game, which, of course, my game starts lagging at that point. Perfect timing for me. Also, it's just a Lego game, it is broken, so no, your stream is not frozen. But I wish it would unfreeze, though. I don't know why it's not. Okay, there we go. So yeah, so you saw that free play option. That allows us to have extra characters like Nightwing here, instead of just Batman and Robin. There's 30 levels in the game, which are set up in these 3 little missions you can see. And I'll be doing all of those levels in this run, in that free play mode. So the run will officially start when I select my first character, which will be Poison Ivy, actually. And the run will start, Mark, for your sake, in 3, 2, 1, go.
Right, now we're off.
Yeah, we are off. As one little quick notice, to people watching. Firstly, the game will just not like me inputting immediately. But you'll notice I'm going to pick very specific characters. A lot of characters, like Poison Ivy, as you can see me kind of just walking here, have very specific abilities, and there's like builds for each character. Some people can use bombs, some like Batman here that you'll see me now start placing. Some people can walk through poison like Poison Ivy did. And there's a few like builds like that, if you will. These builds are all used throughout the game, as you're kind of witnessing at the moment. And Batman and Robin specifically are used the most just because it's a Batman game, so obviously to make them the star of the show. Right now I'm running through the first level. You can bank on Batman, which is very simple. It's kind of just walk to the right for most of it, except for this little puzzle with this car that we have going on here. I actually messed up. I did something a little too early. It's going to force me to have to re-enter this little room with the car to pick up this final button that I did miss. Once we have that button, we're able to just go into the boss fight. Well, assuming a plethora of AIs does not stop me. And now we're fighting Clayface as Clayface. I actually didn't intend for this. That was just completely on accident, but works out. I now have to finish the first fight. It's pretty stagnant. This level is one of the lamer ones in terms of, like, tricks. I think the next level is going to be, honestly, a fan favorite. It's one of my favorite levels in the run, anyway. That was just completely a mistake. But you'll notice that I'm doing things at a certain point. I know this game pretty well back-to-back, and the games follow a screen style, which is what I'm following to do certain puzzles at certain points. And we're already past the first level, and there's still so much to talk about with this game. We are at, like, the bare minimum with this game right now. But that's one of the 15 levels done. It's very straightforward, but the levels do get longer, so this round we'll be in for quite a ride here. And there's actually a lot of cool tech in this game, which, again, a lot of that will be seen in this second level here, which is about Mr. Freeze, probably one of the best Batman villains to exist. You're going to see me pick the Penguin. That's a deliberate choice, just like Poison Ivy was at the start of this run. I need the Penguin for a couple of tricks done in this. And Lego Batman is an old game. It's from 2008, so it has a lot of bugs, like what we're going to see here. Robin has wall jumps. There are a few other characters, but I prefer Robin. That's just how it's done in, like, normal any percent. And what? Oh my gosh. So I am going to perform a trick called because of how the older Lego games handled the camera. Please move out of my way, Penguin. Because of how the older Lego games handled camera movement, the camera has to fit both players. And by trying to fit both players, we end up being able to slip Penguin past that little gate there and skip doing the puzzle. Which, this is one of the few puzzles we're doing in this section. This, like, little hand crank you're seeing me do. And that trick with Penguin is called a drop-in warp. That's one of the few that I do. There are a bunch of other instances where we'll warp player 2 towards us. But we have a lot of levels to go. Now I need to find someone who can double jump, like Poison Ivy. Again, she's a jack of all trades, honestly. And now I need to revert myself back to Penguin to do what's called an E-glide. An E-glide just takes your regular glide and pushes it a bunch, which allows you to skip that little, those little freeze dryers there. And another E-glide, actually, we do a bunch of them in this section, can actually get you all the way to the end of this room without doing any of the puzzles, without basically looking at any enemies. You kind of just walk straight to the end in a very linear line. But this game is very involved. Now, once I get rid of some of these enemies, I'm just going to keep going through the game, and you're going to see another drop-in warp, which requires me to mash F2 to spawn player 2 past that wall. You can manually walk player 2, but this is a little bit easier. And that's less of a drop-in warp and more of just like a teleport. But they kind of work somewhat the same. That was on a ledge. I did that. There is an E-glide to the end, or extended glide, which is what it stands for, the E, to get me all the way over here. Skips, again, a lot more of the puzzles in this game. Oh, and LEGO game decided to start lagging.
Oh, yeah, that's a huge lag spike.
Yeah, it's a LEGO game. This happens quite frequently. I'm also streaming it, so probably just issues on that front, but could fix itself. This is not a game crash because the game just progressed, but there we go. Sorry that took a while. I apologize for that giant lag spike. Just a very weird LEGO game. This is from 2008, and I actually grew up with this game. This game's all about using Batman and Robin to solve puzzles. Other Robin is here, good. I don't have to use 2-player yet. And now, after all those little skips and everything, we're getting to the Mr. Freeze boss fight. Which, we want to stay out of his blast radius, and we're going to use another bug, actually, in this fight. That was an interesting interaction, but okay. So, while holding Batarang, it's actually impossible for you as a player to die. Like, you can't take any damage. People can hit you, take bullets at you. They all just kind of fly off. And it's just a very weird interaction with the game. Another weird interaction is where you get pushed due to... Oh, that was the wrong Robin. Where you get pushed due to a thing called... Or you get pushed due to where Legos are. That has a lot of implications in the speedrun, but I don't do them personally, as there is a lot of precision to it. Yeah, as you'll see, I'm going to take this Robin. I'm going to hold out my Batarang towards him. And you'll see, despite all his efforts, Mr. Freeze can't really hurt me. Despite what he would want. And I can do the same with this one as well. Actually getting underneath him, which I didn't expect to get. Because that's a little rare for that to happen, because this game just has its flaws, as we've already seen. And it only gets worse, trust me. As the Mr. Freeze fight, alongside all the random 2-player things that you've seen up to this point, does have a few other quirks, one of them being in 2-player, the other just being a quirk that exists throughout the entire game, where you can input despite a cutscene like clearly starting. Also, for anyone curious, this is a method of how I have 2 Robins at once. A method called 1P2C. First of all, which is very difficult. To anyone who actually does it, I give you full credit. I'm going to just do this the normal way. Oh. Mini drop-in work there, but that's fine. But yeah, there are a few ways of handling stuff like that, but it does get a bit weird. I keep confusing Robins, which is a little bad, but could be worse at the end of the day. Now I'm going to set up a specific alignment here, because we have to push these 2 carts. For some reason, Mr. Freeze does not like carts. Don't ask me why. It's just one of his pet peeves. Don't die. And there's also a lot of tracking in 1P2C, so you'll be seeing this in chunks rather than throughout the whole map. And this is the whole reason for 2-player in this level. Instead of the camera having to come back down, we can actually do this. I got a pause buffer, but failed it. Or you can actually buffer the pause, getting you to like while that little cutscene's playing, you can buffer a pause and drop out player 2. This is important because player 2 in level 3 is useless, and also this third level will be the hardest. So we finish out the fight. Pretty simple. All things around. Sorry, I'm talking a lot. There is just a lot with this game.
No
a lot of moving
worries.
parts. A lot of. I was saying that to the fans in case they hate having to wrap their heads around things. But this is one of 3 vehicle levels, which are honestly some of the saddest for this run because they don't really change between replay story or just story in general for the standard any percent and free play, just because of how they're designed. There are some weird like hitbox warps you can do because hitboxes in this game and a lot of like hit detection, as you'll come to find out throughout this run, are very weird. One specific detection that I'm personally not a fan of are these spotlights. Sometimes they're finickier than others, but I was lucky that the game decided to be nice to me with that. Perfect for this wonderful event, which I want to quickly thank. Well, nothing really big is happening other than me hitting some trucks. I want to thank the organizers for letting me be a part of it. And thank everyone who donated.
No problem.
And now we're going to do a little setup here. A little bit of a setup, quote unquote, because you'll see I'm towing this car, but there's this one ahead. I can't tow both. I could with 2-player, but Robin is just slow, and holding 2 Batmobiles is kind of funky. But I'm still gonna destroy that truck, get them in this position like the one I'm towing. Bring him into the spotlight, let the game detect that he was picked up, and make a quick circle around. First by taking out the car that's down here. There's the truck down here that we have to pull into the spotlight. We have to do that for this entire level. It's the main gimmick of the Batmobile level. One of the funner vehicle levels, I think. It's kind of stuck between this and the Joker's vehicle level, which we'll get to a little bit down the line, but rest assured it is a fun one. Game, please fix yourself. Another red light. Oh, God. It's slowly coming back. But overall, I'm fine with that taking a second. Because I'm dreading the Two-Face fight. The Two-Face fight, for anyone who doesn't know, I'm fighting an armored car. And the little minions can just honestly be a pain at times. So I'm fine having to wait a couple seconds due to lag for this. I expected lag. I am also a laptop player doing this with a controller and a keyboard. So, I'm limited, but I'm making it work. And I'm now clearing out the second screen. We got that third truck that you saw I was able to just instantly like grab. That's why I wait. That's why I did it like that. You're able to instantly grab them. Speaking of instant, I did fail, but while these trucks are moving, you can walk into the transition. That's why it took like no time for me to enter the boss fight. The armored truck, which has these little minions that love to get in my way. Because for regular shots and regular punches, actually, this game has no target system. The game just kind of hits whatever's in range. Even if my focus is like Two-Face's car, or let's say if I was able to shoot those metal bars behind the truck or stuff. There's no real way of aiming. The Batarang is really the only aiming system, and it's still a bit weird at best because sometimes it'll show what you're hitting, sometimes it won't. Just like how somehow, despite not being in the spotlight, Two-Face's truck died there. But that's level 3. We're already a fifth of the way through the speedrun. I told you, it moves pretty quick. It moves pretty quick, but it's really fun, really easy to learn because if you know like the puzzles in the game, minus a bit of the tech, like the drop-in warp in level 2, and a bit of the 2-player stuff, this game becomes a lot, like, very simple to pick up. Also very fun. So, yeah, there's that. Oh, no, I need double jump here. Right. Almost made a slight mistake. I'll explain why I was going to pick Man-Bat in the next level, but for this level, I specifically need someone with double jump in my roster, so I decided to make that manual decision. Just like Poison Ivy at the start of the run, and the Penguin at the start of the second level. I might die here. They might shoot me. Oh, we're good. So that's about as normal as the run's going to be. Or, well, actually, I forgot this part. Where, yes, you can hit it through a wall. Don't ask me why. That's just something I've discovered from running this game for a little bit. Which, I want to shout out that community while I'm doing nothing but just basically doing setup for another section of the level. That community is very chill, and they have a lot of really good guides and whatnot out.
Would you like a donation, by the way?
Right now, yeah, you can read donations if there's any.
Right, but you can finish what you were saying. I was just, because there's a huge one.
Yeah. But yeah, I want to shout out that community. They've got some great guides. They're really welcoming, especially to a runner like me who's doing this quote-unquote suboptimally, but it could be worse. Because a lot of the LEGO games in general just use two-player. As you've seen, it's already pretty broken. But yeah, I wanted to shout out the LEGO speedrunning community, more specifically the LEGO Batman one. And with that, I think we can read off that great donation.
Right. We got $48.44, putting us at $450 flat, I believe. By Rune from Rune, saying thank you for hosting an incredible event for wonderful cost. Best of luck to all runners.
Well, we're lucky to be able to host this, so
Yeah.
oh, thank God it's been fun for you.
And
But yeah,
with
so
that,
what I did, I was
that does actually smash our incentive, so you will be doing that.
that's fine. I'm fine doing my incentive run. Because I actually gave you a slightly wrong estimate. This run will probably only take me like 110. Please? No, I didn't get a double jump. No. There's a kind of cool way to skip this, but I'm just not getting the right jump. It will lose me some time for those deaths, but nothing too insane, because we have an extra on called Fast Build. Part of the free play rule set is that you can add extras, which are little perks in the game. The biggest one that you all have been seeing so far, which is Fast Build, which I don't know the exact multiplier for it per se, but it speeds up how fast you build all the little objects and whatnot in the game, just by 2 times, maybe 3, honestly, not too confident. But it does save a lot of time because it's a LEGO game. There will be a lot of building. These levels is more puzzles, but especially when we get to the third levels, we will see a little more building possibilities. Some of them we do skip through E-glides and the other tech I've already shown off. This doesn't really have much tech for now. Kind of a bland section. Really fun level, but sadly there's just not much about it. Right now I have to walk into a wall because there's nothing else for me to do. Until this door opens, we go into this next room, which, as we saw in the first level, I have the ability to go through poison. So, I can just, instead of doing the flower puzzle you have to do, I can just walk right in here, use more fast build, and now we are on a bit of an auto-scroller. This is another section where if donation came in, there's another good point to read it.
Let me see.
Just in case.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is mostly an auto-scroller. I just have to kill these guys. Oh my gosh, if my game lags. Please, LEGO Batman. Please, catch yourself up. Okay. Okay, my game's not crashing. I'm fine with that. My game's not crashing. Because the game progressed. Or it shouldn't crash. Okay, there we go. The game just couldn't handle the speed, ladies and gentlemen, obviously. The game is just so shocked that I'm playing, honestly, pretty consistently to PB. All things considered, minus all the lag and whatnot. I haven't been running an IGT timer like I should have, but most of the in-game time comes from those little title cards you've been seeing about each individual boss. That's most of where the time save comes from. Need to get kind of lucky here. Oh, thank you. You're gonna see me back up from the boss, even though it's time for the boss to die. That's because oh no, I'm just doing this with jump kicks. I'm not taking damage. But yeah, also, as you can see, LEGO games are very interesting at best. With when they give hits. It took a few hits there, but we got through the fight. And now we're on to the much more tame level 5. where I'll be selecting Man Bat. And for one of the weirdest oversights I've seen in speedrunning, because it's not engine based like a few other bugs that happen in video games. This is just purely based on a developer choice. At least it feels like it. It's an oversight, but it is just there. And while I'm waiting on this level to load, since there's nothing really too crazy right now, the reason I picked Man Bat is you won't notice it because I'm not walking both players, but Man Bat is just faster. For no reason of his own right, Man Bat just walks faster than any other character in the game. And there's really no explanation other than just because. I honestly, he just walks faster. Like, at least fast build is just something extra to make the game easier. He just, for some reason, walks faster. You won't really see this unless I was walking next to a character, which won't happen much because in this run, we're going to leave player 2 behind a lot. Really, level 2 is probably the most content of 2-player that you're going to see in this run. There is a heavier bit later down the line, but for now anyway, that's the most we're going to see of 2-player. Now I'm going to do an extended glide. Instead of doing the whole puzzle with that turnstile, you can make an extended glide, which I failed. Sadly. What? Okay, that was interesting. You can do an extended glide. You can do this with any gliding character. That's what I did with the penguin. What? There we go. Took me a little couple. I did get it. And also, yes, you can skip the use of the truck on that little door by just double jumping over it. Quite simply. Just doing a basic jump. Now I am going to do a little bit of parkour still. And you'll notice I actually don't even need to turn that switch. It's just a habit from Hero Story, which is any percent without all the weird, like, bugs that you've been seeing. Like, without all the, like, the switching players walking through poison, that sort of thing. I wasn't close enough. Whoops. That worked? Okay, that is surprising. I now need to prep. That's fine, I'll be Two-Face. So we're entering the Two-Face boss fight as Two-Face, funnily enough. This is the second time, albeit this was more deliberate, that I have been the boss that we're attacking. I will then also have to make a quick switch to Poison Ivy after I get my 4th heart of damage off. Which I need to find Poison Ivy first. I found the Riddler at least, so maybe I could do that if people are interested. I'll fight the Riddler as the Riddler. There we go, there's Poison Ivy. I'm going to do an interesting thing. You don't even have to do it like this. There are 2 ways to do this trick. But you can actually just use double jump, albeit I actually messed up. You can actually use double jump to get over there, and also that lever stays flipped. But I had to do it from the ground. It's just a nice little trick. Something kind of neat, just for show more than anything. And now we're back to using that full speed. Now that we don't have many puzzles, so not much puzzles, that depend on actual player speed. I'm going to do a little eagle eye just for show, just for a little showcase. And what an eagle eye does, in the name extended glide, it just makes your glide just go on for longer. That's all it's designed to do. It just makes your glide longer. Oh, well. Thank God I have infinite lives. Because this would have been quite rough if I could really die. I'll be a Riddler henchman. That's fine. We're gonna have a little standoff with Two-Face before punching him one more time. And now the star of the show now is all on Edward, aka the Riddler. I'm avoiding his last name just in case, but it does sound a bit scuffed, and I don't trust Discord at the moment. Which also another very iconic Batman rival, if you will, for lack thereof a better word. Also, it's just a weird little tidbit. Not only is you also see that I'm kind of just like I'm standing in the same spot, but I'm getting different shots. That's not my decision. That's just what the game's deciding for me.
Oh.
As the game then decides to freeze on me. And I thought I was out on the Mr. Freeze level. Apparently, Mr. Freeze decided, you know, you beat my level too fast, so now I'm going after your PC. I will there we go. Okay. Took a little longer than it should have, but you know what? It could have been worse. It could have much been worse. I apologize a little bit for the lag on my end. It's just a weird quirk of how I have to do this. And honestly, my PC limitations. But yeah, now we have to wait for the fun part of the fight where we actually get to fight both Two-Face and the Riddler. Which I'm doing with 1P2C as I've been doing before. Where I can actually have one like primed to hit the Riddler while the other goes after Two-Face. And with that last shot, we are out of the first third of the speed run. And I think at about like what, 28 minutes or so?
25 in RTA.
Oh wow, that's really good actually. My IGT, I wasn't testing when I was doing runs of this game. I wasn't testing with IGT, I was doing it RTA, which currently takes me about a minute 10. Or an hour 10, I mean, not a minute 10. But yeah, it was actually going quite well. I need Poison Ivy again. I love you, Joker. I love you, dude, but I can't. And now, we're gonna do something very, very interesting. If I can get it. Oh, no, I have to... Okay, I'm doing the baby version. It is 2 hits, okay. You can actually just jump that. It's not even precise either. Like, most of the tricks I've done this run aren't even that precise, if I can be so honest with the audience. A lot of my tricks have a lot of lenience, and honestly, you could do these while just messing around in free fall. The E-Glide is by far the hardest thing I've done, because it takes a rhythm of just hitting and letting go of A, which is the default jump button. That's where the game gets its quote-unquote difficulty. Like, you can't just, like, mash A like you're seeing me do now. This is me mashing the A button. Also getting, a jump right off the ground. Whoops. Now, with, calling player 2 back in, we can get through this ledge. I'll quickly, with player 1, just kill all these AIs. There we go, they're all gone. As we start the next fun section, which also leaves 2-player to be desired. But we're cruising along. I now need to find someone who can glide, but I guess backer will have to do. For the time being. And we're gonna do something kind of silly. Because you might think, well, why did I just get rid of it to then redo it? I'm going to call 2-player back in, swap them over to Poison Ivy, while making the same change on player 1, just so we don't have to do this whole section with picking up studs and everything else. Which, with good 1P2C movement, you can actually just kind of get by, not too much harm. But it is sad to say that player 2 is gone again. Being traded out this time for instead of that, I need to find someone like the Penguin. Very nice. Who can do another E-Glide for us, which skips a lot of puzzle work. Also, that E-Glide is very lenient for anyone curious. That E-Glide in particular is very tame. I honestly don't even think you have to E-Glide that. Just what I've chosen to do with my runs. But honestly, this game does leave a lot to be desired in terms of just, like, your decision more than anything else. Especially with your free play selections, which will matter. Once I find someone who can double jump. There we go. Took me a little while, but I did get there. I need to die. Okay. I did lose a jump there, which is a little catastrophic, but I'm hoping not to lose a jump. With this little, honestly, pretty big shortcut, it's just very finicky, because I have to die every time. Or I have to backtrack, which is quite hard, given that there's not really a safe floor for me to stand on. And it, as you can see, does cause a lot of backtracking. It's a bit sad, but I did mess up the trick that I was going for, so. Small price to pay, but all I can do really is live with it and move on. Of course, getting rid of all the guys in my way who don't want me to finish the speedrun. All these random AIs. But you can actually... I messed it up again. Oh, that's unfortunate. I'd have to go back again. You know, way back now? Without, like, poison from me? You can kind of eagle at this, but not enough. So I will be quickly switching to Joker here to get back up for my third attempt at this trick. It does kind of suck that it's my third attempt, but it is a very weird jump. Half the time, you do get a random wall jump, which is what's been happening to me. And based on my character selection, it's leading me to have to do this with a weird jump. But I'm hoping maybe the Mad Hatter has better luck than Poison Ivy did. He does not. Which makes this kind of weird now because I don't really know how to get up other than one weird drop in that I don't even know if it works. Where did it just spawn me? What? I'm more I'm not even sure that up. Yes, I know that elect.
Yeah.
I'm honestly, I don't even know where the game just put me. If I can be so honest, ladies and gentlemen, I did not know that the game would even put me back here. But I guess that works out because I need this trick now. The reason that now I actually have to commit to this trick is because I skipped building this whole car sequence and getting rid of a bunch of poison earlier in the level. The problem with this, and skipping some of these bridges and whatnot, is that you can't get up here unless you have that car. So I basically am required to go for it now. Which makes it quite difficult because this jump is anything but easy. You have to be like really far out, and you have to make sure that you die, otherwise the game is very sensitive. Because even if I try to bring player 2 back in, you'll see that they spawn way up here. They don't actually make the jump. And even still, it's just a very tight jump. Which I now just stopped player 1 from being able to do. But I do have to hit this. It is a bit hard, so I apologize for me being stuck here. It's just a very hard jump. Because of that wall jump, which I don't even know what I'm wall jumping off of. It's just a very weird jump. So it will take me a few tries, but it could be worse. I actually did have a really good opening, so I guess this is just luck not being on my side today. There we go. It took me a while, but that is what I've been trying to do. I apologize for trying to like... Oh my gosh. That jump was not my friend today, apparently. But what will be my friend, because it's a lot easier, is another very, very, very weird eagle eye. But I do need to get a metal character first. Out of my way, please. I just told your friend not to do that, man. Come on. And I do have to make a lot of quick switches, so I apologize if people get lost due to all the switching I have to do, but it is just part of the process to fully, honestly, push this game to its limits of what it allows you to do and not do. Which, part of that, if you did know how to get Batman up through a thing called punch launches, well, punch launch, I mean, which is a very weird V-Sync off kind of trick, which apparently V-Sync is the crime of every speedrun because it's just known for causing issues.
Yeah.
Leads us now into the Mad Hatter boss fight, now getting back to not hitting on V-Sync anymore. We're back to the Mad Hatter boss fight, and again, we have the Mad Hatter. This was not intended, it's just something that happened again. I swear this will not be a common trope, hopefully, but we'll see. I'm now, what, 3 out of 6? Yeah, I'm now 3 for 6 now. I had Clayface, I believe Two-Face and the Riddler, and then that. What we're gonna quickly do, if I don't die, going for it, is I'm gonna quickly take the first player up here and move my camera in a specific spot. This allows the only ground to be where I'm standing, making this a lot easier to get player 2 up here without having to do puzzles. Because in a puzzle game, why would we want to do puzzles? Like, if we're being completely honest. That's keyboard. I also have to register which player is which at times, especially if they're the same person. So that's why I just call that being keyboard. I have to just register who's who and when. especially when doing a setup like this. This really doesn't even need to be a setup. I'm honestly just bad. They're both... Ah, I only got one. That's fine. I can get keyboard up and do another DOW if I need to. Right? Oh my gosh, I dropped out the wrong player. Okay, that should be fine if I drop in, right? They don't fall on the floor, right? Okay. Little bit of backup, but I made it work. You know, I dropped him into the poison again, and we punch him once to finish the fight. He always goes to that general area. That's how I knew to stand in, like, that spot when doing it. He just kind of... He walks there, and it's just like, oh. Also, with this level, we now have... Not the worst boss fight is Poison Ivy, and you saw that mostly due to the weird jank when I was trying to hit her. But now we go to probably the worst fight. We go to probably the worst boss fight in terms of just design, rather than like just it being dumb. We go now to it just being bad because I think it underplays the character. This level is for Harley Quinn. I'm actually going to speak a lot. Oh my gosh. And Harley Quinn's level is very fun. Honestly, this is one of the more fun levels of this section. But sadly, it does end with a very anticlimactic boss fight, which is such a shame given the amazing character that is Harley Quinn. But not much we can do, but live and move on. Actually, making a quick look at these enemies. You don't even have to kill these enemies. I'm just doing it because they're mostly in my way. Enemies get skipped quite a bit, especially as you saw with the first level of this run. But the simple bomb, we won't have enemies to worry about for 5 seconds before they come back. And the game decides to turn into a 2 FPS game.
Love it when it happens.
Bring it back. I mean, it could be worse. I've seen Lego games crash on people, so I'll take my 2 FPS game. At least I can fix it by quickly alt-tabbing and alt-tabbing back out. Which causes artificial lag in a lot of the Lego games. There is another way using Control-Alt-Delete. That won't be showcased in this run, but if you really look into the speedrun, which I recommend, it's kind of a cool run. You'll see a lot of times where the screen might go black, or you might see the game freeze. People are creating artificial lag through either Control-Alt-Delete or Alt-Tab. Very, very cool on it when watch. Albeit hard to understand because a lot of that leads to out of bounds, which I haven't done too much of. Mostly for the sake of ease, but because honestly, just running through the game normally, a lot more fun. Sitting out of bounds, I'd have to explain all the out of bounds triggers, which I only know about half, in all honesty. The out of bounds triggers are in very weird spots, especially in the villain side of this game. Because yes, you can play. There are like villain missions, which I'm not on sonar suit. Whoops. I wondered why Batgirl wasn't destroying that glass. I wasn't on the correct suit. That probably would help, but you know, that's just a theory. A Lego game theory. Thanks for watching. Anyone who gets that pun, you had a great childhood.
I don't think there will be someone who doesn't get that pun, honestly.
I mean, you never know. Which is the missing piece? I'm missing 2 pieces, I'm just unsure where they are, because I know that I got all of them over here. Yeah, I shouldn't be doing it also, if I just loop back. Camera, please do that. Did I actually get them off from here, not the other side? I'm not confused because my pieces are off, and I'm not really sure where they missed. Oh, they missed over here, okay. Yes, they were trying to hide. Yes, they were camera shy. Sadly, couldn't really avoid that unless I used my batarang to kill the guy first, which would be a little bit slower. But now, we have a little bit of an auto-scroller. And a little bit of honestly, a mini-boss before the real boss, because there are a lot of enemies in this section, which I'm going to kill as the Joker. I really wish I had Harley Quinn, otherwise I would obviously try to play Harley Quinn on her own fight. Where honestly, it doesn't even matter, the Joker's a little more optimal. Because of the poor design of the boss fight, you actually get a little bit further, physically speaking, with the Joker than Harley Quinn, and I'll explain that when we get there. I still have a little bit. We just have to open the door, basically just unlock the key. We have the key, we had to unlock the door to get into the Harley Quinn boss fight. And now this is why I think this is the worst boss fight in LEGO Batman 1. The entire fight hinges on you chasing him around this little loop in the center of the map, which, since it's pretty tame, is a good time for any donations that came in.
Alright. Let me see if there are any.
Most of this will just be me chasing her. Most of like the next minute probably. Because for each set of 3 hearts, which there are 6, which makes 3 sets of 2 hearts, we have to chase her that many number of times. So this 3rd heart and then the next heart of damage, I'll have to chase her around it twice. Have a little intermission with some enemies, and then it's up to 3 times. Which is my biggest issue, because Harley Quinn is an amazing part of like the DC universe and just gets such a bad role here. Yes, I spin in circles. Oh, you're still alive. Whoops. There we go. Fix that. You also see me clear people out with battering. It's a little bit faster because you can hit multiple enemies. You can hit up to 5, I think it is. I've always thought it to be, but I could be wrong. But yeah, that's just kind of how this works. Also, this doesn't even speed up the fight, despite technically now I'm the fastest character. Which I didn't intend to get, but it's kind of cool that I did get Man-Bat here. But now we have the last 3 loops that I need for this boss fight. The last 3 loops, then we move on to probably my least favorite level of the run, because there's just a lot involved with 2-player. The vehicle level, it's a little more unpolished than the levels we've seen up to this point. Wait a couple seconds here, and she says stop. I missed somehow. That'll end the boss fight, and we move on to the level with the Batman. As you can see, it just ever so wonderfully in the center of my screen, center of the gameplay scene there. Excuse me. We now enter the 8th level. We're just about halfway through the run. I assume in about like 40 minutes, if I had to guess. But I'm not too worried about the time. I'm worried more about putting on a wonderful experience for you all. But I do have to at least try to look fast. And I mean, it is games on fast forward after all. Oh, thank you. As you immediately break again. Oh my gosh. I do that. Thank you. Oh my, if it breaks from this, I swear. What is with this? What is with this level? This level is usually chill. Also, of the levels, while I'm kind of waiting to open my new ability with the Batwing, the Batmobiles we saw earlier had like that tow cable. The Batwing, on the other hand, has mini bombs that can be shot at torpedoes. You also see that 2 out of 6 triggered. That 2 out of 6 is because of meeting the second, the second like missile turret that you're supposed to hit in the level. Also, I flew way too far back, but it's fine. You can actually get it before, meaning that you don't have to worry about it now when going for this. Just giving you a little bit of ease, all things considered. As you go into the 1, which you can always just shoot and hit that cutscene. Then we're going to take a quick Bat Bomb, which I need to get 3. For a very explicit reason, I need 3. But we won't see that for the rest of this screen. This screen doesn't really have that pertinence. That comes up as a point later in the level. I'm going to take the Batcopter over here really quickly. We'll get these bombs, which, unlike the Batwing bombs, which move a lot easier, the tow cable comes on the Batcopter, and it just tows the bomb around. Which these, just like the trucks that we saw earlier, do have a little bit of physics with them. And honestly, it has a bit of wonky physics in all considerations. I've seen me, like, trick shot that metal pipe there. Next to the screen with the extra bombs. these extra bombs, instead of having to break open this metal cage that I just flew over, we can instead just almost end the screen instantly. If things go awry, I have a backup bomb as well, meaning that we don't have to even puzzle solve in this level. Did a little back for the fans there, but now we'll be doing the boss fight. I should put this in quotes, boss fight, just due to its simplicity. It's a very simple, straightforward fight. Doesn't even require much thought. I just have to basically wait on the boss to get over here. So I'm mashing X and then B. X on my keyboard, B on my controller. Pick him up, and it's just a little, basically a little loop thing. So I can keep him held, run the Batwing over, get a quick bomb, and end the boss fight very fast. Very fast fight, but we do have a little bit of a delay. Oh, the delay was... Oh, I actually caused that delay in the level itself. But that is the 8th level done. We're moving on to the 9th and the 10th. The 10th is very fun. But if you like Harley Quinn, like I do, you're not going to see much of her. Moving on, we have the Killer Moth level, in which we're going to pick up our favorite bat and our favorite clown as our two characters, but we will not be using player 2 much, if at all, throughout this level. Because the first thing we do, we're going to drop them out. And we're going to start the chase against Killer Moth. The chase is pretty simple. There is this poison you're supposed to jump over. We have two options. Either you can just walk through, or do an E-Glide. I'm going to attempt the E-Glide. If not, I have the Joker as a backup character. But I was able to do it actually pretty easily. Now we can push past some enemies. These levels have been somewhat linear. This is a very linear level, but still very fun. And I can actually be in the way of the object. And you'll see that I'm inside the car now. I'm actually stuck. That player is now actually stuck. As I did warn earlier, it's a Lego game. It is quite broken, and that's the first instance. I got a little too close for comfort to that obstacle, and it cost me. And I'm gonna do a little bit of setup, get rid of the enemies that are in my way, stopping me from building. More than just all the enemies, because most of them, if they hit me, not a big deal. And now, enemies are kind of useless for the time being. While I jump up here to further my pursuit of Killer Moth. Which means taking out some stage lights. I don't know why I need to take out stage lights, but apparently a checkered floor is only solved in this way. No clue why. I did get a little nervous of falling there, but that's fine. Little lag, but we're all okay here. So this guy just made his own mistake. Testing Batman. Where are you? Oh, there he is. Joker's gonna kill his own goon, sad as it is, before helping in the process of activating an elevator for the Gotham public. The Joker, despite what everyone says about him, cares about his fellow man. He's working alongside Batman to fix up the city as best he can. As you can see, I'm gonna, with two-player, walk these players into a position, wait on these levers, and walk them into this door. Well, I was planning to walk them in the door, but Lego game decided to...
Yeah.
But could be worse, especially since this will be the most brain-breaking section for me. Because, believe it or not, controlling two players with basically one hand apiece does actually have its difficulty. And quite a lot of it to keep everything in check, even though I'm doing a bit tamer of a 1P2C setup. So we walk Batman over here. Yeah, Batman's over here, the Joker's here. And now we're going to build some speakers. Before telling the Joker that he's no longer... That would have been actually very bad. Now we have a quick puzzle to do. And I'm going to prepare for that tech suit icon you can see just at the back of the level. Because there is something we do with the tech suit here. And then that is honestly, sadly, the last. We will see more of the tech suit, but we will have to leave this section, which is kind of sad. I do love this section, though. Like, this section, first of all, it has an amazing backing track. For those of you who don't know, just get prepared to groove. That's all I'm going to say. Because of this robot. There's a way to skip this road, but I decided to take a bit of a safer path. Because these levels can get very involved very fast, as you've seen with all the 2-player shenanigans and everything else. All the eagle-eyed memorization, just things like that. Which, oh, trust me, we are nowhere near done with eagle-eyes. And a few other sequence steps. As you're going to see from me really quickly, I messed it up. You hate to see that, but it'll work out. There we go. That was a version of an eagle-eyed, but it was the version of all time. Before we find the end of the level, just kind of waiting for us at this point. A few more puzzles, but nothing too crazy, and nothing with 2-player yet anyway. We will need 2-player shortly after this, but it won't be something where it's really insane. Comparatively to the drop-in warp and all the other tricks seen by 2-player mode, this is one of the tamer 2-player sections. The only reason I even need player 2 is to bring them onto this this water cannon with me, because there's a bad fire in Gotham, and I, as Batman, while solving crimes, I also solve city distresses. And with that, I sadly depart from player 2. Make one more eagle-eyed. Saves maybe about 5 seconds. A lot of the eagle-eyeds here save about maybe 5-6 seconds, depending if there's really a cutscene or not. That's where the biggest difference comes in. Like, if there's a cutscene attached with it, or it's just like you're skipping something, that's what makes or breaks the difference here. I cannot hit my bomb. Okay. Now we have to wait on these generators, because we're in the Killer Moth boss fight. And one thing to know about moths is that they love light, especially from bug zappers, which is what we're artificially creating here by powering up this light bulb in the center of the room. Which it's very odd that Killer Moth chooses to be around his one weakness, but I'm not going to complain. I'm just going to live my life and just kind of wait. Because now Killer Moth is gliding. He then has to glide over to the light bulb, take some damage, blow up the generator, which is very uncalled for, before I transition to building another generator. Which, with a little bit of elbow grease, you can actually just not break more of the level. Kind of nice. It doesn't really save time, but it's just kind of a cool thing to do. Also, as you just saw, we kind of scale the wall while punching. That's a punch launch. Excuse me. But yeah, those are VSync dependent, depending on VSync being on or off. Just another weird bug, but... And you have to do those on sloped surfaces, so like you can't do them against this flat wall, they won't work. But like, if this were a wall, this fire extinguisher, I assume this is? Or just like gas canister, you could technically punch on top of that. And now we move on to fighting the Joker, which is where I said to many people that if they were fans of Harley Quinn, to not enjoy the level that's about to show up. Which this level is very nice, because alongside a few of the other levels that we've done, I do not need to be a doctor or a sailor. I need to be Harley Quinn. Alongside a bunch of the skips, this level has probably the most, if not, like, just second best. This level, first of all, you completely skip getting any of the suit swappers by just jumping up here, because Lego Collision just lets you. The floor is there, and you're able to just slide up that wall. You like have to jump and hit like that, like the slope at the very edge. This slope that I was kind of walking by, you can see in like the top left corner of the camera. You walk by that, and that gets you up. Now, we have to, apparently, just because it's summer on the Northern Hemisphere, we have to engage in a water gun fight with Harley Quinn. Which I don't think Harley Quinn was a fan of. Oh, please. Also, with each of these, I do have to somewhat pray for my computer because it is a laptop that I'm using for this run, so there's a lot more danger if my PC just crashes. When we do a little bit of the water fight, that ends, and we move on to, by far, one of the weirdest sections of this level. Because this level has some very precise movement, which I need Harley Quinn to start. You'll see Harley Quinn, the real one, anyway, over there, and you'll see her just kind of stand there on the ledge. I'm going to do a very intricate setup of now becoming... Oh, whoops. I had it and messed it up. Of becoming the penguin to E-glide right past her, skipping that little lever that we would have had to hit. And also with this, because she thinks that we're like stalemated at that point, none of her cutscenes will play properly. So we won't get kicked off this ladder because she won't be up here. There's a few things that just get straight up skipped now because she's not here. Speaking of skips, once I get my position correct, you can just double jump up this wall before calling in my partner in crime, Harley Quinn. Because yes, I work with myself. Apparently, I do everything by myself. And it takes us into the boss fight, which this is one of the most laughable boss fights. Because at least with the Mad Hatter's boss fight, we had to do things. With this, you can skip every puzzle, every single piece of movement, just by jumping with Harley Quinn. Or any double jump character works with this. That is the PC one. Okay. The keyboard. That's another instance of me just getting confused, because I have the same character. I could use any double jump character, I just use Harley Quinn. Easiest to menu, it's the, I think, the closest to menu to. And now, the Joker summons a helicopter. After the Joker was not a fan of, being woken up to his alarm, we end up deciding to instead of fighting us directly, use a helicopter to do so. Which we can always combat with soaking it a little bit in the rain. Now, a cool thing about the helicopter that I only learned recently, actually, is that it alternates which side it's going to hit. If you look where the helicopter is stopping when it starts to shoot, that's about center screen, just about. That center screen position, you'll see it either pan the bullets left or right. With the second player spawned in, it alternates, which actually helps, as you only get hit half as much. Without the second player spawned in to basically stand here as cannon fodder, you will probably get kicked out of the you'd likely get kicked out of the vehicle like 3 or 4 times. Also, the Joker will shock himself. Guess he made a shocking revelation, I guess, but... a shocking revelation that he is defeated, and now we are 2/3 of the way through this run. Honestly, I've been pretty cruising. I'm pretty happy with that. And hopefully a lot of that made sense, because episode 2 is a lot more complicated. There's actually a few quick kills, and this is the last leg of the run, with all the penguins levels. Where, funnily enough, we will be picking the penguin as our main companion. At least for one of the players. And there's a lot of reasons, mostly just being the fact you can E-glide. You can also technically use Man-Bat, which I actually meant to do. I actually made a mistake. I thought I was loading into a completely different level. When I saw this scene, I honestly messed up. Oh, there's Catwoman. There we go. But speaking of not messing up, though, you can actually just double jump off. You can, like, walk off that tightrope, then get, like, your mid-air jump, and completely skip all of that. You can skip an entire zip line, or not zip line, but, like, a grapple section, and a bunch of other things, just by gliding over here. So I am going to go for a kind of hard strat here. I did fail it, but it's fine. And I got punched off of that little beam, but I can go for the cooler backup, where we just hit a nice giant leap. Oh. And now, speaking of skips, like I was mentioning earlier, we are going to skip an entire other section, using the E-Glide that Penguin's capable of doing, by walking into a basically unloaded trigger, right off the edge of the map. We will die, but we skip having to even punch Catwoman. Because, guys, obviously, even though I'm a crime fighter, whose entire goal is to put people in prison at the end of the day, I do not condone violence. Clearly. But my PC condones lagging. Which, honestly, it's picking really good parts to lag, because we're about to get to probably the hardest glide in the run. This little E-Glide here, because there could be enemies, like there just were, that pushed me out of the way. Luckily, on the second attempt, they won't be in the exact same spot, because most of them will jump down, and it makes my life quite simple. What won't be simple is this very weird timing on these two levers to skip having to bring player 2 in. Which I got first try, which is really nice. We have to get rid of my goons because I'm the Penguin, so my guys are in the way. But once we get past that, we can become Catwoman for the Catwoman fight, which was a subconscious decision. I honestly didn't think about that. But Catwoman is going to do one of the hardest things in the game by having a quick kill. She's one of 2 bosses that has a quick kill, which you have to reach by walking Catwoman off the edge. And as you can see, very simply, she didn't land on her, despite the fact that she's Catwoman, she didn't know how to land on her feet, so she sadly was completely wiped out, which is very nice because that boss fight is just genuinely very janky. It's just full of weird clutter and everything. There's just weird level design. And I did that also in an impromptu way. Speaking of impromptu, we're now back to, or actually speaking of not being impromptu, we're back to the most basic level that we have, which is another vehicle level. The vehicle levels being very basic, as realistically you would need one of 2 vehicles to get through the level, so you just pick between those 2 vehicles, which will be Robin's hovercraft or the Batboat. With the Batboat, by far one of the coolest, but weirdest moving parts of the game, as it does these very wide turns, which could be catastrophic, which it did actually turn out, as I have to re-grab this bomb. This bomb is weird because despite you being at the bomb, the game likes this little pulley thing to just about in front of me, and likes having you hit this instead of the actual bomb. For some reason. It's honestly very weird. Pardon, I have just my nose, it's just very itchy. I know it's not what people want to see when seeing such a very delicate speedrun. I almost hit that point. That could have been a little catastrophic, would have lost me about 5 seconds. That's about what a death costs you in this game. But honestly, some deaths, like the death with Catwoman, are optimal because by dying ourselves, we brought Catwoman with us. Which will happen once again, but I don't have to die inherently. It is just a funny thing I can do. Speaking of a funny thing I can do, this doesn't even save time, but you can hit that lever and hit this one to the right, which I ended up missing the strat for, to trigger both of those at once. And actually the third light will go on before the second light, which is how you'll know you've hit it. Also how I knew that I missed it. Yeah. We're kind of closing out this level. We have one more boss fight. We just have the quick boss fight, which is one of by far the weirdest boss fights because it depends on the bombs, which can be sped up or slowed down just at a little bit of whim, as you can kind of see by them zooming past me. But once you're in a good groove, you just kind of feel things. Which also, that bomb just straight up pushed me. And yes, the bomb pushed me. Not even like the little enemy guys. The bomb. I know it sounds weird to think that an inanimate object had control over Batman. You know, this amazing detective that he's, you know, claiming to be. He hasn't really done any detective work, not that we've seen anyway. Honestly, most of his work has just been crime fighting. But, nothing wrong with that. Yeah. So now that we've bombed all of the plane, or of the boat here, the last thing we have to do is, I'm not kidding, hold the X button until 2 hearts of damage are dealt. The rest of this fight, and it's a little saddening, end with us just holding down X until the boat explodes. Which it did just there. You can also see that despite it dying, I was able to move, and I'm on top of it. Just a little weird bug that happened. So, but that marks basically we're in like the last I can't math. We're in the last 315. What is that? We're in the last 20% of the run. We're 80% through the game. We only have a few more levels to go. We'll be picking my man Penguin, which this was the intentional pick because of some little movement skips that we can do as we go into the Killer Croc fight. Which, under the city, which is the level I'm currently in, also known as 2-3, because, I never mentioned this until now, but a lot of the levels are indexed based on their episode and then their level. Like, you'll see, like, you've probably seen that each level has, like, a number associated with it. I'm hitting the ceiling. Well, I haven't addressed those directly, and I just addressed them by boss fight. You could also address them by their level name. You could address them either by level name, just knowing them as their boss fight, or knowing them by their individual section. Oh, this is actually kind of scary. There we go. Pardon another lag spike, but we are getting through it. What? That was a very weird interaction. I don't even know what's going on. I mean, that is a little disappointing when I don't know what's going on, but here we are. But luckily now we're back in a world of familiarity where I can apparently know the entire sewers by heart and just walk through them. Which was a little cliche of them to put Killer Croc in the sewer. There are some crocodiles, but they aren't really an issue. Seems like a lot of this level is not really an issue. Especially due to weird little glides like that. That's not an E-glide. I wasn't intentionally extending it by basically mashing A. There is a bit of a rhythm you need, but nothing too intense. Also, we have Killer Croc himself, which is good to know, because I might try to see how many bosses I actually am them for. Because currently we have a few bosses done as their actual boss. One of the funniest unintended things I've ever done, but moving past that. Now we have the hardest part of the level. This insanely tight, like, I mean tight, I mean like very tight. Like, you'll see when I get to the end of it. I did not make that with much room. And that was like very good E-gliding. Like, that was quite exceptional, and I still was somewhat struggling with it. And now we just have to kill Killer Croc, which has 2 waiting sections, so Mark, if we do have donations, it is a good time to read them.
Alright.
Because we're in these little side scrollers. Sorry to put so much work on you. But there are a few times where you're just stuck waiting in this game, so you have to make the most of it. Speaking of the most of it, I don't think we've actually like mentioned this through commentary, but this is the most that GoFF has made to date. Game on Fast Forward, the charity event that you're currently watching, this is the most we've made with, the last I checked, it was just about $402. Not sure where we stand right now, but...
Actually, $450 from $48 donated earlier. I did read that.
Oh, yeah, right. I forgot about that.
Yeah. which we're like
Yeah,
halfway through
$450.
the event, I
Still,
believe. So we still have quite a bit of chances.
yeah. That's it with my incentive run, which will be coming up shortly because we just finished that level. And as I mentioned, there are those 2 weights. Those 2 weights are just things you have to sit through. Pardon, my shirt's just not sitting perfectly straight. As we enter my least favorite level, I know I've probably said that a few, but there's a lot of just very goofy levels in their design. Zoo's Company is this level that I'm just not the biggest fan. I need to menu past Batman for a double jump. Yep. Which starts by us completely skipping an entire, like, I think, what? You have to get the suit, get up there. You skip an entire 3 or 4 puzzles. You can skip more, I'm just bad. There is a way to, like, slam behind the gate that I destroyed. But I'm not the best at it. Now we're just going to kind of hop past people. It's not really a big deal, end of the day. Just going to hop past people and find someone who can glide. There we go. Once we have our gliding character, first of all, we can skip all of, at this point, because I'm the penguin, my goons. And due to a mistake, I have to actually build this turtle. We're able to skip this normally, but I messed up and accidentally hit it when trying to kill those minions. So I did have to take the slow little time loss that it takes, but grand scheme of things, I think honestly, I'm feeling really good about this run. I'm not too sure of, like, statistics and everything, but pretty chill. As we move on to, for some reason, we're out of exhibits and basically into basically onto a coast now, with a whole boat and everything for no reason. That's just here in the zoo. Apparently, this is the Gotham City Zoo. Normal. Ooh, my back is doing a little stiff. Which, actually, funnily enough, and I didn't even plan this when thinking about it, I could do this fight with Man-Bat as my player 2. Oh my gosh. Slight mistake. It's fine. Oh, whoops. I also need to walk the another player over here. We can build. And yes, we are now another fight in. Oh, I forgot Killer Croc. I completely forgot about Killer Croc, but we do have another fight where we are the person that we're after. In this case being the devious Man-Bat. The man known for his supersonic speed and his supersonic hearing. The speed that, again, exists for practically no reason at all. But, here we are. Nonetheless, with the last few hits, there's a little bit of invulnerability, but we finish out the fight. And we move on to the last level of the game. Surprise, surprise. This run actually has not taken that long, all things considered, minus the few slip-ups. But we're approaching the last level of the regular run, as I do have an incentive run to do after this.
Oh, by the
Which
way,
will
how
use the
long
same
would the incentive run take?
about 11 minutes.
11 minutes?
Yeah, based on my estimates.
I was thinking we are quite a bit behind on schedule, so...
I mean, if we have to skip it, that's perfectly fine.
I mean... if you could make it fast, we could try and fit it in.
Yeah. My current PB is just about 10 minutes. So I don't know if that works or not, but if it doesn't, then
we'll see.
It doesn't, but... I also could PB. There's just some very weird jank in that incentive run. But I don't want to spoil anything, because that is a section for later. I'm gonna let the suspense build a little bit. Also, I'm now Penguin's minion, which is kind of funny, but this is just a playable character. And now we are going to completely disregard everything in this level because of player 2 and the Z button, which is my battering button for player 2. I need to toggle to Pod or something. And also, player 2 will sadly have to take the loss, but we can actually skip doing anything with the fight, including you see those little flashing icons at the top, just by doing this. I am going to drop out player 2, albeit it's not super imperative that I do. And now the penguin will begin flying. Or should, unless I somehow hit him, which I shouldn't. What? You got hit? Player 2, stop it. Player 2, stop. Please. Please. Just follow me. I don't care who. You follow now. I really don't care. Please. Time will be coming up very shortly, by the way, for the main run.
Alright.
And that's time.
That time?
Yep, that's time.
Oh, okay, 113.35 with an estimate of 130.
Wow. I'll take that.
Yeah, I did pause the timer a little bit late, so it's actually a little bit less than that, but that is pretty good.
I mean, a 113, that's very solid, all things considered.
Yeah, we do have an incentive run, and we are behind, but I do want to please the viewers. So could you do like maybe half, maybe like a 5-minute point?
Okay. I mean, I can do it because what I went the completely wrong way. Whoops. I'm just so autopiloted from the basically all levels speed run, where you do both the levels you just saw, everyone just saw, plus the villain's perspective. I'm just so used to doing that instead of coming here, where we'll get to a bonus level that you can, as people might not have known, I'm on a 100% save of the game, which allows me to have access to all the bonus levels, including this one. Which I'll be setting up very shortly. I need a gunman on the beginning with double jump as preferred, and Robin on secondary. And this actually, I'm ready to start if you have the timer reset.
Oh, I don't do timers for incentives, but yeah.
Okay. I'll be starting this in.
You can just stop appropriately, basically, like whenever you see fit.
Yeah.
But yeah,
okay.
let's get going.
The run. In 3, 2, 1, go. Which luckily there is a little tracker. So what this level is, which firstly gets killed by the non-existence of player 2. As I told you, LEGO game speedruns, they do use player 2, but a lot of the times you're just one man. As you can see by me, just hopping along, working on some yard work for Bruce Wayne. You'll also see that he then has a garden spawn, but his garden isn't the greatest, so... And honestly, these aren't even flowers, these are weeds. Maybe, I'm not too sure. But just be safe and sorry, I am going to help him out with his gardening. And there's a few other little tasks around Wayne Manor that I'll get to. Okay, I have that suit. Wait, I still need gun, right. Then I'm going to take out the trash, literally. Then, while taking out the trash, I find the parts for a gaming PC. A full desktop setup compared to the laptop that all these runs have been done on, which might help with the lag. It might, because I'm going to go play Lego Batman in Lego Batman. Make sure that that was set up properly. And there we go. We are now in the bonus level. There are 2 little subworlds. I'm only going to do the one, and then show off a cool little E-Glide, mostly for the sake of time. Which will be like the basically halfway point of this run. Oh, wow, I screwed up. Okay, whoops. No, my hat doesn't reach it. Okay, well, I know the backup for this. It's just stupid. Yeah, there is that little backup. You're supposed to jump off of the other little brick, as I've been finding money this whole time. That's what this little side quest has been. Me picking up my salary for yard work from Bruce Wayne. There we go. Which has a lot of weird positioning issues, and just honestly shows that this is a Lego game. With especially weird stuff like this, where you can just completely jump up to this tightrope instead of use the little bounce pad that exists a little bit later. You can't see it due to it being under me, and it's just out of the camera. But it is there, I assure you. There is a little bounce pad a little ways over as the level starts to lag. No, it's that bounce pad's fault. I usually don't see that bounce pad in this run. I'm keeping time with my run. Luckily, this has an in-game timer, as many of you are able to see. I'll account for like 10 seconds lag there, and I'll just use that as my guesstimate. But we're actually coming across the halfway point of the level anyway, because once we finish this subworld, As you can see, I'm at about a quarter of the studs to like pick up, which I might be missing one, I think. Wait, what? Oh, I think that's the game's voice telling me to go check, but I do think that I hit every single one. There might just be one I randomly missed. It does not seem to be that way. I almost died, but that's fine. Yeah, I am fine. Player 2, please warp me somewhere good. Nope. Warp me in like the worst spot. That doesn't even save any time for me to warp there. I thought my numbers were wrong because once you go through a subworld, there's a lot of like individual studs to pick up. So you could always just forget them because of all the stuff you have to remember. Including the one stud that I messed up and didn't pick up earlier. But I still feel like I'm off, but I'll play this out for another about minute and a half or so, just for the sake of time. There we go. Oh, I actually missed it, man. That was so good. That is a little jump. It's not like detrimental because we'll just come back that way anyway. But the route that at least the world record uses, which I'm somewhat mimicking, minus my partial mistakes. Wait, my headwind? What the? Why does the number fall off? Minus the partial mistakes, I'm mostly just following what world record does, which, since this is an individual level run, which also coolly enough uses an in-game timer, I think more games need this, personally. Traveler's Tales, please convince other developers to do this. It's a great thing. Which Traveler's Tales is are the people behind this game, and many of the LEGO games in the series, including the Complete Saga, which recently had a BTT done. Speaking of BTT, I'm basically doing that for this section. And I'm in a bit of an auto-scroller, but I'm making it do. As I'm actually coming to just about the end point here, actually on a 5-minute pace, which is pretty good. I could easily end here, but there is one other stud that I do want to grab before calling like time.
Gotcha.
I'm gonna call this, instead of the Wayne Manor IL, I'm doing the Wayne IL. Obviously, because I'm only half of it. Also, honestly, this section was kind of slow. It could be better, and that would be time for my incentive run. A 513.0.
Great runs. Wayne Manor and the entirety of the Lego Batman game. Yeah, we'll be moving on swiftly, but you did give your shoutouts. Do you want to give any more shoutouts, or is there anything you want to do before we wrap it up?
My biggest shout out, honestly, is to the people who have donated. It takes a lot of courage to even try donating, and it takes a lot of your time. I really appreciate that. I appreciate even being able to be here to help it foster. Yeah, that's most of my shout outs to the people involved, both on the viewer side and the entertainment side, like you and I, Mark. That's where my shout out goes. And shout out to all the runners, both before me and after me, because they have been or will be doing great work for this organization. And with that, I'm done.
All right.
That ends my commentary.
Incredible GGs. And yeah, we'll be switching scenes over. Thank you, Blood, for running for us.
Welcome. I'm glad to do this.
All right, we'll see you.